Unity News Now.
Hello and welcome to Unity News Now. I'm Tuan Lam.
And I'm Daisy Oviedo. Thank you for joining us. A lot of excitement at Unity 99 after Vice President Al Gore spoke to conference-goers Friday. Reporter Nandra Jose reports on what Gore says technology can do for minorities.
I promise you this, I will lead the fight for fundamental fairness. We have to solve this problem, and we will solve this problem.
The Vice President says one way to solve it is to bring the computer age to minority communities.
An economy of boundless innovation, of unprecedented world leadership, and of equal opportunity for all. That is how we can make sure that no one is left behind.
Democratic candidate Bill Bradley is also trying to win over the minority vote.
I need your help, not just as members of a dynamic and innovative profession, but as molders and shapers of our society.
Conference participants say Gore was careful to address them not only as journalists, but also as voters. For the most part, people are impressed by what he had to say and are curious as to what he'll do if elected president.
I thought it was interesting that he mentioned the speeches he had given in relation to affirmative action. I would have thought he would have mentioned actions he had taken rather than words he had spoken.
The Unity Conference was just one step in gaining the minority vote. In Seattle, Nandra Jose, Unity News Now.
Now, Gore's visit was short. He did return to Washington yesterday, shortly after his address.
Some Native Americans say that they are skeptical of Vice President Al Gore. Some aren't satisfied with what they've heard, and Robert Jamel is the leader of the Suquamish tribe, an information expert.
Need is a recognition of the treaty rights, the treaty arrangements, the contract law that exists on the basis of those treaties, and specifically what we need is a federal delegation of jurisdiction so that tribes are able to regulate the utilities and the rights of ways and easements on reservations. That will improve things for us with respect to telecom, and he didn't address any of that stuff.
Gore's appearance makes 4 presidential candidates in 2 days to visit Unity. Stephanie Tsai is in the newsroom. She looks us with a look. She joins us with a look at the controversy surrounding these campaign tropes.
Thank you, Tuan. Journalists of color are growing in number and power every day. Yesterday's surprise visits from 2 presidential candidates are proof of that growing influence. This LA Times article, which ran yesterday, prompted George Bush and Senator John McCain to cancel their other appointments and come to Unity.
I wanted to come by and say hello to people I know.
Governor Bush decided to attend the convention after an article ran in the LA Times, calling his absence a missed opportunity. He met media and answered a few questions before hurrying out as quickly as he'd come.
Bush, I think that he was here, but I really don't think that he really has a lot to say to minorities. He kind of is like ducking the whole issue of coming out and speaking.
Bradley, on the other hand, more directly addressed issues of diversity.
One of the reasons I got into politics in the first place was the hope that we could have racial understanding in the country.
Senator John McCain also dropped in, but with a prepared speech. He braved the questions of some critics who accused him of pandering.
And only until he got a little bad press did he show up.
I've never been worried too much about whether I get good or bad press.
Other convention goers were just glad that the candidates made it to the convention.
They will be needing us after all. I think it was a smart thing for them to stop by, even if it was just a short, unofficial trip.
Whatever their opinion, most people can agree that Unity 99 has reminded politicians of the impact of minority journalists.
Unity 99 marks the largest gathering of journalists of color in history, so its attraction to presidential contenders is clear. But it may take more than just showing up to win their votes. I'm Stephanie Tsai in the newsroom. Washington Governor Gary Locke's top priority is education, but his proposals continue to draw criticism, even among supporters.
Education was just one of the issues of which community activists graded the governor. Reporter Sela Kim is here to tell us how he scored.
Yes, well, we know that Governor Locke is 1 year away from completing his term, so we wanted to know if the first Chinese-American governor was meeting the needs of Washington's diverse community.
While we're at it, here's Emily holding Dylan.
He is proud of his family. But is his work something to be proud of too? Diane Narasaki of Asian Counseling think so.
I think there have been a number of things that he has done that are positive in relationship to needs in our community.
But when asked to give him a grade, she declined. And what about the Native American community? They gave him an A+. But Governor Locke didn't receive top grades from everybody. The education organization gave him a passing C. A union that represents teachers from Washington high schools like this one says Governor Locke didn't push hard enough for their pay increase. They say they are disappointed because his original proposal was far too low. But Governor Locke says that was beyond his control.
We had to work with the dollars that were available to us. The teachers wanted 15%. There's no way that we could find money for 15%.
And the Labor Council is disappointed in the governor, saying that employees didn't get their bargaining rights.
I guess I would disagree with that because I've just met with the leadership of organized labor in our state, and they're very pleased with the position that we have taken on a whole host of issues.
But they still gave him a B, making his average a 3.0. And what grade would you give yourself, Governor?
I don't give myself grades. You know, I actually went to a school that did not believe in grades.
So there you have it. The governor may not give himself grades, but community leaders are watching and grading Locke to make sure he lives up to his promise of being governor of all the people.
This year brought many candidates to unity. In fact, 3 of the associations held elections. Our own John Cater is here to give us an update.
Twan, this was quite a year for all of the associations. However, the biggest race came from NABJ candidates. NABJ presidential candidates started their campaign just days ago. Brochures, buttons, and even commercials were part of this year's race. However, NABJ this week had an appeal since 6 of their regional positions were without candidates.
Certainly a disappointing number, no question about it. It's been a long time since we've had so many offices open where nobody was running.
Now, all of those positions have been filled since we spoke with Sharon Stevens. Last night, AAJ announced the winners of the offices up for election. Oki Soga will replace Victor Panucci as National Vice President for Print, and Janet Cho was reelected National Secretary. Votes for NAJA and NABJ elections are still being calculated as we speak. In the newsroom, reporting live, I'm John Cater for Unity News Now.
You know what? It's been so nice out lately.
It really has. It was really warm today. I loved it.
So I tell you what, today's weather was just what we needed, warm and dry. The temperatures are expected to drop later this evening and be much cooler. Tomorrow's weather is warming up again, but the question on everyone's mind, will that rain hold out for the weekend? I'll have your juicy weather gossip when we return.
Recruiters are still working from work samples, still taking work samples from journalists at the Unity Job Fair. The fair ends today at noon, but there's still time to change resumes and make contacts.
Seattle businesses are seeing a lot of $2 bills. Unity organizers are encouraging convention goers to use $2 bills as a way of advertising minority buying power. Conference goers can exchange their money for $2 bills on the 4th floor of the convention center. Unity plans to track those bills to demonstrate the power of minority buyers.
Coming up, the inside beat on police brutality in Seattle. Police brutality cases involving minorities are on the rise in large cities like Seattle. Angela Morgan reports on whether or not police are to blame.
A man dies after being put in a police chokehold. Another man is killed after wrestling with police.
Are the police justified in some of the actions they take?
Oscar Eaton, president of Seattle's NAACP, speaks out against police brutality.
I think one of the things that we saw in this city that drove us to really look into this problem was, number one, we had an 84-year-old African-American male who was shot trying to protect his apartment.
A police officer's oath is to serve and protect. Area law enforcement officers say they don't encounter cases of excessive force on a regular basis.
No, it's not common at all. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, although just the term police brutality is such a loaded choice of words. Certainly nothing that we would use. There are cases, basically the rape with a broom handle, or back in New York. Certainly that's police brutality, and no matter what you call it, that's what it is.
Deputy Carrie Mitchell encounters many experiences in a typical day.
I'm a small female, and therefore I rely a lot on my speaking skills and communication skills, as opposed to manhandling, which a lot of the bigger officers can do.
Mayor Paul Schell recently appointed a panel to look into charges of police misconduct. A coalition of 20 Seattle minority organizations say they oppose the panel as a solution to decreasing police brutality. In Seattle, Angela Morgan, Unity News Now.
Students in most states are not required to study a foreign language, and as Cynthia Dieterman reports, the lack of a second language could be a problem for journalists of color.
Heather Coleman is spending her summer immersed in 8 languages. However, this may be her last. The foreign language camp at Seattle's Meany Middle School may not be available next year due to a lack of funding.
I think it'll help her in anything that she does. I mean, if she travels, in any kind of other work. Like I said, America, there are so many different cultures here, just having empathy.
Diversity and cultural exchange are growing in the U.S. Only 8 states have foreign language requirements at the elementary through high school level. Experts say that children in grades K through 4 will acquire a language easier than adults. And what these children don't realize now is that this training may very well help them one day in the business world.
The Port of Seattle's customers are mainly in Asia. Our business with Asia is over 85 to 90%. And because of my cultural background, my language capabilities, I find it easier for me to deal with the Port's Asian customers.
As the U.S. becomes more dependent on other countries for business and trade, those that are multilingual will be one step ahead. This is Cynthia Detterman in Seattle, Unity News Now.
And some are now calling for the state legislature to boost foreign language requirements.
Mental health professionals say more counseling agencies are starting to serve the Asian American community. They're being modeled after programs like Seattle's Asian Counseling and Referral Service. This group provides help for problems ranging from unemployment to mental illness. Its executive director says these agencies are critical.
Unless there are culturally competent agencies that understand the culture and have counselors who are bilingual and bicultural, that people oftentimes don't get the help they need.
Now the challenge is finding healthcare workers who meet this criteria.
Up next, we take a look at Seattle's homeless.
Find out what they're doing for themselves.
The Chippewa Cree are taught that water is sacred. It's the source of everything. I go to college to study environmental science. I'm investigating the toxicity in our water supply. But it's not just a science project. If I can help save my land, maybe I can help save my people. Why did you go to college?
The American Indian College Fund, educating the mind and spirit.
They may be homeless and they may be low income, but they're finding work on the streets of Seattle. Real Change is a Puget Sound newspaper that focuses on issues of homelessness and poverty. Not only do homeless and low-income people sell the paper, they write it as well.
I mean, it's the only thing I can do on a daily basis to generate cash on a daily basis where I can pay my rent, eat.
The paper's purpose is to provide immediate income and a political voice to the poor. And it's people like Dave. It's a step towards a better life. Real Change vendors receive 70% of each profit from the sale. The paper sells for $1.
Homelessness, it can happen to you, right? The reality is it can happen to anyone. Every day, men and women are ending up down on their luck, poor and homeless. Diana Rodriguez looks into the life of the streets.
It's a combination of things. It's not always just drugs and alcohol.
Rodney Daniels doesn't try to figure out life on the streets anymore.
Heroin, no. Powder cocaine, yes. And a little sprinkle of crack.
But Rodney says he's not hooked anymore. He says he's trying to clean up his act.
And I have not had a sprinkle of street drugs since February of 1997.
Gary Papa says he's trying to get back on his feet.
I went from being a decent middle income and just thinking of homeless people as being lazy or drunk or whatever to completely didn't even have a big understanding of the problem. You get yourself into circumstances that are well beyond your control.
In 1998, the King County Coalition for the Homeless did an overnight survey. Caucasians made up 42% of people in shelters or transitional housing, blacks 30%, and Latinos 9%.
I guess I could use the word diversity, I suppose. It's wide range.
You're going to see many people walking down this sidewalk, but you're not going to see anyone sitting on it.
It's against the law to sit on the sidewalk downtown. You can't be in the parks after 11 o'clock at night. So, yeah, there's a lot of intolerance to poverty.
In Seattle, Diana Rodriguez, Unity News Now.
A group of homeless people got together to form the group Seattle Housing and Resources Effort, or SHARE. The group finds housing for those in need.
This week, the best and brightest journalism students from across the country are in Seattle for Unity 99 student projects. Unity Now reporter Drake Clark has the story.
This is Claudia Perez from Chicago, Illinois, bringing to you Unity 99.
For Claudia Perez and Nikki Mayo, broadcasting live on the radio is the dream of a lifetime. And on the airways of Unity Radio, they'll have the chance to showcase their talents.
You meet a lot of great people for Unity at these conventions. It's great, and it makes you feel like you're actually somebody, you know?
Everyday students will come here to the Sheraton to participate in various student projects. The idea is to put the students in real-life situations with the hopes of making them a force to be reckoned with in this fast-growing field of journalism.
I plan to go to law school to become a lawyer that specializes in cyber law.
For James Ellis, cyberspace is his domain. He is one of 10 students to be a part of Unity's new media project. Here, journalists use the internet to report their stories and raise issues that are prevalent for minority journalists.
And I think the world in the 21st century is all going to be, integrated with computers.
This year, the new media project and the radio project decided to team up.
Radio, we have a working arrangement where we can use radio sound files on our website so people can hear sound bites and interviews and whatnot.
But in the end, the goal is still the same for everyone. Prepare a young journalist for what could be a promising and rewarding career.
But I'm glad that Unity happened this year, despite all the controversy, because I think this is about, at least for me, it's about getting people prepared for tomorrow and getting people to work together for tomorrow. I think that's important, and I think it needs to be done.
In downtown Seattle, Drake Clark, Unity News Now.
And these student projects are all on display at the convention center.
A new boot camp is training dozens of minority journalism students. The student campus programs at the University of Washington is part of Unity 99. Reporter Valerie Cruz shows us the drill.
Yeah. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
These students represent the 4 minority journalist associations meeting in Seattle.
We are comfortable, okay, within our own culture.
At this session, they're discussing racial issues.
I think the main thing I learned is that all minority groups suffer from the same stereotypes. So in order to combat some of those stereotypes, we have to make, as journalists, we have to make the extra effort to go into communities that we're not familiar with.
The whole idea behind the Student Campus Project is to allow these students to share their cultural experiences and issues facing their communities. A Native American student says some stories on her community are often inaccurate.
Because a lot of our information is given out incorrectly. So if they get the facts and do their research, it could be done correctly.
There's still a need for minorities in the media, in the mainstream media, to have that voice in the media and to give upcoming
from experienced journalists like reporter Mark Trahant.
Not far from here is the so-called Kennewick Man. And there's a great deal of discussion about whether or not Kennewick Man was Captain Jean-Luc Picard or...
Joseph Torres of NAHJ said Unity Student Campus started in El Paso, Texas in 1995. This is the first time the other three journalist associations have been a part of Unity Student Campus.
Thank you, Valerie. Stay tuned to find out what happens when the rain goes away and the sun comes out. Seattle is infamous for its cloudy, rainy days.
While plants and trees thrive in this environment, people have a harder time dealing with the gloomy weather. Unity News Now reporter Josh Rhymes joins us with more. Josh?
Thanks, Daisy. Suicide, depression, and weight gain are associated with bad weather, particularly long periods of time without sunshine.
Oh, it's great. The sun's great. I'm memorizing it so that when we turn back into Seattle, I'll remember it.
This sun worshiper is talking about the 10 months out of the year when gray and gloom cover the city. During those cloudy days, people in Seattle will try anything to get the sun to shine.
I always pray for the sun to come out, usually.
But when their prayers aren't answered,
I get depressed. I guess that's a good way to put it.
Harry isn't the only one. In fact, people's moods are directly affected by the amount of sunshine they get.
Well, the sun is a source of life for us all in many ways. It does affect our brain. We think it's probably through the pineal gland, which is a small organ at the base of our brain, and it gets there really through our eyes.
But unfortunately, what our eyes are seeing is anything but sunshine.
There's a medical condition called seasonal affective disorder that can occur in individuals who are not exposed to the sun very much, particularly during the wintertime.
With only 2 months of clear days in Seattle, people waste no time when the sun finally comes out. Rollerblading, volleyball, and jogging are just a few of the ways people enjoy the sun, and it also seems to work on their moods.
It's wonderful. It's beautiful outside. It's nice to be outside. It's a lot more fun.
But on a day like today, boy, you can't hardly stop a smile if you wanted to.
If you're suffering from mild depression, Dr. Dobson recommends you see your family physician before it gets worse. Seasonal affective disorder can be treated with special high-powered full-spectrum lights. Also, there are awareness clinics in all of the hospitals and are offered to the public.
This is King 5 First Alert Weather.
Well, I tell you, it's a great day out there. Let's take a look at Crystal Mountain. Man, it is looking great. Another great day as well at the Canadian border with warm and dry weather. For temperatures around the area right now, we've got 74 in Tenino, 83 in Packwood, and having a look at our satellite imagery, there are some clouds forming along the coast. These clouds are expected to move by and shouldn't cause a really big disturbance for us. Now, if we have a look at tonight's temperatures, a little cooler, 55 in Everett, 54 in Seattle. But tomorrow, things are expected to warm up, 74 in Mount Vernon and 75 in Everett, 76 in Seattle. Looking at the beaches, things are going to be a little cooler, 65 degrees at the beaches, 72 in Victoria. If we go east of the Cascades, man, it is going to be hot out there. 93 degrees in the Tri-Cities, 88 at Omak and 88 at Moses Lake. If we look at the mountain forecast, it's partly sunny out there for tomorrow. Temperatures ranging from about 62 degrees to 69. And finally, our 5-day forecast. We're going to start off okay, mild temperatures in about the 70s, but things are heating up later on in the week with temperatures going to about 82 degrees on Saturday, you guys. So it looks like a really great weekend in store for us.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
The Seattle Seahawks hit a snag as they try to put this year's team together. Mark Flutters explains coming up in sports.
Plus, a champion boxer visits Unity. Meet him next.
The Chippewa Cree are taught that water is sacred. It's the source of everything. I go to college to study environmental science. I'm investigating the toxicity in our water supply, but it's not just a science project. If I can help save my land, maybe I can help save my people. Why did you go to college?
The American Indian College Fund, educating the mind and spirit.
And a busy day in sports.
Mark Flores joins us with highlights. What's happening, Mark?
Oh, plenty of things happening in sports this week. The Seahawks are just 3 weeks away from kicking off training camp in Cheney, and coach and general manager Mike Holmgren has most of his key players. In fact, all of them except one, first-round pick Lamar King. Now, the 22nd pick out of Saginaw Valley State remains unsigned, but the Seahawks chief negotiator Mike Reinfeld says he's not concerned. In fact, Reinfeld expects to have more serious talks in the coming weeks with King's agent. By the way, King's agent Eric Metz is also Joey Galloway's agent, who the Hawks have a good relationship with. Shouldn't be much longer for the fans to see their newest first-round pick in a Seahawks uniform. As for the rest of the league, only 5 first-round picks are signed around the NFL, and expect King's contract to be slightly higher than what Green Bay's 25th pick Antoine Edwards received, just around 5 years at over $5 million. Moving on to the NBA, after 4 days of minicamp, the Sonics moved to Los Angeles to start Summer League tomorrow. Assistant coach Dwayne Casey says the camp should make a big difference for the Sonics' younger players.
All these things they're picking up now, we have time to take the time to work with them on an individual basis with, whereas in the messed up season last year, we didn't have the time to incorporate the little things of basketball that we like to teach.
And down south in Pasadena, the U.S. women's soccer team is set for their showdown with China in tomorrow's World Cup final. This afternoon, Team USA held its final practice at the Rose Bowl before the big game. China is the favorite going into the championship after beating the U.S. 2 of the last 3 times, but that doesn't bother the Americans, who have been focused on winning the title all month.
Our goal ever since day one, and it would be disappointing if that doesn't happen tomorrow. But I'm proud of this team. I'm proud of the way they've handled themselves from day one. I can only compliment our team on the mentality and the heart that we've shown consistently for 90 minutes, whether we're not playing well or we're stringing stuff together and playing good soccer.
Last but not least, the Sounders Selects also in action tonight, taking on the Cascade Surge of the Premier Developmental League. We'll have highlights tonight at 10 and 11. And that's it for sports. Twan, Daisy?
All right, thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Unity members were treated to a private party for heavyweights.
Roy Jones Jr., the undisputed welterweight champion of the world, was a TKO with the crowd. He spoke about community service and helping the less fortunate. Eventually, Jones got around to talking about boxing. He wants to add the world heavyweight belt to his 3 championships. If his wishes ring true, Evander Holyfield would be his first victim. And that does it for this edition of Unity News Now.
But before we go, we have a number of people to thank for helping us produce our newscast from Seattle.
First, a big thanks to King TV for allowing us to tape our shows from its studio.
Also, thanks to Northwest Cable, Cairo TV, KXLY TV,
and Como TV, KCPQ TV, KTU, K2 TV, and KCTS TV.
And MSNBC also helped us produce our shows. Thanks to all of our sponsors and the mentors for Unity News Now.
Thanks for joining us.
Good night.